Good morning and welcome to the new episode of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Recently, a lot of noise is being created globally, and the most stringent criticism came from diverse countries. Of course, Ukraine did and was justified, but USA and others also, and even in India. Many people were thinking why India had to abstain in Security Council voting when it was known that Russia would veto it. Political wisdom would have dictated that India should have abstained. Once you vote, because the veto comes after the voting, and once you have voted in favor of that, that means you have voted against Russia. So India had to take a pragmatic decision in the interest of the country. And let's not forget, politics, geopolitical situations, diplomatic relations, all are motivated by one factor, and that is to promote and protect the welfare of the country, the interest of the country. Country interests are supreme rather than ideological affiliations. Of course, if the ideological affiliation suits the interests of the country, why not? But at the same time, India showed its practical sense. Like UAE, it abstained, but then it talked to Russia. The Indian Prime Minister talked to Mr. Putin and told him to start negotiations. And when it was decided, ultimately Ukraine agreed to the talks with Moscow in Belarus border, India welcomed that decision. India has not outright condemned Russian invasion because it knows that that condemnation would be almost suicidal. India abstained in a manner that was in the best interest of the country. And second time in a week, it happened. After is abstaining over there, it also abstained on the second resolution to call a rare special emergency session of UN General Assembly to discuss the talks. Now, both these abstainings were motivated by the same factor: welcoming negotiations on a bilateral basis. That has always been India's basic principle. In its dispute with, for example, with Pakistan, whenever USA offered to be an empire, India said, no, it's a bilateral relationship. It's a fight between two cats. A monkey should not come in. And USA is a monkey. So much so that though Modi had very close relationship with Trump, it did not accept his offer to negotiate or to arbitrate. Once you give the power of arbitration to a third party, you lose your credibility. So, the justification of India abstaining on a UN Security Council resolution to deplore Russia's so-called aggression, and also saying that dialogue is the only answer to settling the dispute, and expressing regrets that the path of that diplomacy was given up by both the parties. So it was very even-handed. And the question arises, and many people have asked me, and that's why I'm talking today. Why did India abstain? There are primarily 5 reasons. A. The first reason, of course, is for India. The Ukraine crisis, nobody can deny, has been a tightrope walk because India has friendly relations with both the countries. But Russia is an extremely old friend. And now here was a balancing act that India had to perform. Old, tested, tried friend which had sent its fleet and naval forces so that the 7th Fleet of USA cannot bring such pressure on India. The country which had vetoed UN resolutions many times to help India, and that cannot be forgotten. Yes, new friend from West, but they are not tried and they are not tested. So that's the one reason. You always go with a tested, tried friend who has proven many a times that, look here, I'm your friend. And I remember Kashyap saying at one time, well, we are just across the Himalayas, you shout and we'll come to your aid. But the most outstanding example was in 1971 war, which I just referred. This is first. The second reason, India is hugely dependent on Russia. Let's not forget that even now, although we have started buying arms from various countries, but Russia continues to be India's largest supplier of defense weapons. And it is the only country which provided a ballistic missile submarine to India. This ballistic missile submarine was of extreme importance because USA had, in fact, negated on its commitment to supply the nuclear submarine to India, which it supplied to Australia, and effectively killed the Quad. Because once the principle of parity in a group is violated, then that group, although it exists, loses its cohesion, its unity. And USA, by its actions, showed that it doesn't trust India as much as to supply it with a nuclear submarine, which India needs badly to protect its maritime borders, both against Pakistan and against China. So that's the main reason. Thirdly, India has 272 Su-30 fighter jets made in Russia. Not only that, it has 8 Russian-made Kilo-class submarines. It has more than 1,300 Russian T-90 tanks. Now with that huge commitment from Russia to India, and India's operations, if the Russia withdraws it, what would happen? Suppose there's a war, and you need the spare parts. Even if there's no war, you need a spare parts, you need the technology, you need the upgradation. So all that investment will go waste. And India cannot afford to waste the investment. And all these would be lying ducks for the foreigners, for the enemies. Fourth reason, USA pressured it a lot and said that India must not purchase S-400 air defense system, which India has purchased. It did not succumb under the pressure of USA. And this S-400 air defense system is Russia's most advanced long-range surface-to-air missile system. Turkey purchased it, but Turkey was put on a sanctioned list by USA. And then Turkey succumbed. They said, no, we don't want to be sanctioned. India talked to US and said, look here, we are going to buy it. You want to put us on the sanctioned list? That will be your choice. You put us earlier also. You remember when Pokhran test was done, Canada and India had put sanctions on India. And then they themselves accepted that it harmed them more than it harmed India. So this surface-to-air missile defense system, and India has placed a $5 billion deal with Russia to buy this system. Now, $5 billion is not something to be sneezed at for a country like India. And then obligation. You have to pay off the obligations. Russia has always stood by India at the UN Security Council on all the issues, whether it was Pakistan war, whether it was criticism that India is violating the human rights, other refugee issues. There were at least 26 times when Russia came to India's assistance and vetoed those resolutions which were supported by USA, supported by France, supported by UK at different times. But this country, Russia, always vetoed those resolutions which could go against the interest of India. So what about the sense of gratitude, sense of obligation? Can those be negated? No. And once you negate them, A, you lose your friend. B, you lose your credibility. And India's most important credible voice is that it has integrity, and it doesn't go back. It's not ungrateful country. Even with those countries which are not helpful, it is maintaining a level diplomatic relationship until and unless a country behaves in an absolutely dastardly manner. So that obligation had to be put up. Now, secondly, USA is cranking up operations in India to commit to a stronger response against Russia. But USA forgets that today USA needs India more than India needs USA. At one time Turkey was called the sick man of Europe. You remember that? Today USA is a dying mammoth. It was a great power. It still has some remnants of power, but wherever it has gone, it has never been successful. It was defeated practically in Korea. It was defeated in Vietnam, not practically, but absolutely. It was not successful in Iran. So what is this country, big country, for? So on Thursday, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken talked to Foreign Minister Jaishankar and stressed the need of a strong collective response to condemn what America calls Russia's premeditated, unprovoked, unjustified attack on Ukraine. Now this language no friend can use, and had India not abstained. Let's not forget, in US today is a key partner in defense, trade and technology. It has also been a strong support to India in tensions with China. Similarly, France has been an important friend of India too. And India also has people-to-people ties with USA and Europe, and a vast number of overseas Indians in these regions. So USA was thinking by using the diaspora, it would be able to pressurize Modi into condemning Russia. Now that sort of a condemnation would have been, as I said, suicidal. Yes, USA gives technology, USA gives arms, but then those arms are always on a commercial basis. Let's not forget that. And then they come with a rider. When Russia has supplied arms, there is no rider. When Israel supplies arms, there is no rider or restriction. When USA supplies something, they put half a dozen, if not more, conditions. How it can be used, where it should be used, and so on. So basically there are three reasons. One, moral, gratitude. Second, economic. you get cheap things. Third, defense. Fourth, continued further help. So these five factors, this pentagon of factors, influenced India's decision to abstain, and that was, as I said in the beginning, in the best interest of the country. If India had said no and will condemn Russia, then what would happen? India might not have got as far 400. Next, all help would have stopped. As 500, which is further one, and can even stop the hypersonic missile of China. Now, USA doesn't have that technology, and India's biggest fear is from China, followed by Pakistan. And China has hypersonic missiles, which no other country has. So, can India take a decision, annoy Russia, and then become a sitting duck for Chinese aggression? No, that's not done. And if that's not done, then you can't annoy the benefactor, the helper, the friend, who has a proven record of assisting you. So these factors were responsible for India's action, which is really very pragmatic and very, very important from the national point of view, and no limit criticism which is being leveled against India, both internally and externally, would be viable, would be acceptable, because that would go against the interest of the country. Thank you.